Hello and welcome to the Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and a few reading recommendations as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And as always, this is where we are going to go in alphabetical order through the brands, and we will start with BAKA, with the Astronomy Museum. This 33229 is now available in China, actually, both by Weir, one of my Chinese retail partners. However, over here in the European Union, first retailers have announced that they will get this one in, like BlueBrixx, and this bad boy actually has 14,133 pieces. Yes, you heard that right. And that basically means it's 52 by 52 centimeters or 66 by 66 studs or 20.47 by 20.47 inches. Yes, after last week, after the disaster with me not being capable to translate centimeters into inches, I've decided to put this information on the site now as well, so now I can read it. Anyhow, you can buy this bad boy in China for around $300, basically, again, shipping, customs, etc., depending on where you live, but roughly in that ballpark. And by this example, so this is shipping into the European Union, is 2.1 cents a piece. That is enormous. BAKA, to my knowledge, is a company or a brand that belongs to the same company that produces Kunlong pieces or Kunlong, and so that is why I assume this is the kind of pieces that you can expect in the set, and a lot of them. Like I said, 14,000. You have basically 3 full floors, and then you have basically, I'm not really sure what is here on the top in the spire, if you will. If maybe there is a telescope, I don't. Oh no, there is actually one. You can see it on this picture. Anyhow, and then you have a lot of stuff in there, like you have planet systems, rocket shows, etc., etc. I mean, again, it's 14,000 pieces, so I'm pretty sure there's a lot to explore here. So this thing could be very interesting to build if you have the space for it, or even use it to exploit the pieces, because actually 2 cents per piece is quite a bargain. Anyhow, I said we're moving on to BlueBrixx, and here we have, and excuse my non-existing French, yes, I know I'm European, but that doesn't mean I speak all the languages, the Compiègne wagon, I would say. The 108270 from BlueBrixx. And this wagon, for those of you who know a little bit about European history, in this train wagon, actually the treaty after the First World War, or the surrender of the German Empire after World War I. So this is not the Nazi thing, was before that, when we still had an emperor over here. And not the emperor himself did not sign this, to my knowledge. In fact, politicians had to do it, because all the generals and the emperor who got Germany in this mess actually decided not to sign it. They were kind of, I don't know, they were cowards, if in a nutshell, but politicians had to do it, to my knowledge. There were actually 2 treaties. First was the surrender, and then that's the final surrender, if you will. And I think, to my knowledge, this thing is a museum nowadays. And as you can see here, you have the flags on the 2 sides. So you have the French colors, the tricolor on one side, and then the colors of the German Empire on the other side. By the way, the Nazis later on used the same colors for their sign. However, these colors were not invented by Nazis or Nazi Germany. That was actually the color scheme of the original German flag from the first German Empire, if you will, from 1871. Anyhow, so that is why you have the colors on these 2 sides. And then in the center, you have the train wagon or the train car, and there's the treaty, of course, and the pen and everything that you need in order to sign it. I've never been in this museum, so I don't know how authentic this is, but usually BlueBrixx is doing a pretty good job. This thing has 1,459 pieces, it's designed by Martin, and comes as part of the category of the bricks lineup of sets from BlueBrixx that bricks usually they use for all their trains. And with that, we're moving on to CaDA, and here we have the Shell station. Actually, it's called a retail station, I think. Yes, that's the name of the set, the Shell Retail Station. It's a 66026, 1,309 pieces. I would guess this is, I mean, at least this is how they look over here in Europe, and I guess that was the goal here. I don't know in which other countries Shell or Royal, I think the company was formerly called Royal Dutch Shell. I think it was a company from the Netherlands, but I think nowadays it's Shell PLC, so they do have their seat in London, I guess. Anyhow, it has always been a British-Dutch company to my knowledge, but this is for sure how gas stations look over here in Europe for the international audience. I don't know if Shell operates stations like this in other regions of the world as well. So the interesting part here is that CaDA is not only releasing this main set, which, like I said, is going to have 1,309 pieces, and it's going to cost directly from CaDA. So recommend retail price is $110. However, for sure, you will get it cheaper with other retailers. For instance, with Bawia here, one of my partners, again, a Chinese retailer, it's around $65. But the interesting part is that they not only have the main set, they have also 3 smaller sets released in parallel. So first there's the Shell Select store, which is kind of the store that is part of the gas station, and it's called 66027. So originally I assumed that these are extensions to the main set. However, as you can see, the Shell Select store is already included in the main set. So I mean, you could use it as an extension, but I guess you could also use it on your own. It has around 300 pieces, and CaDA itself is listing this one with $30. However, again, I think prices will change as soon as we have this thing in a broader availability with retail. So then we have another set that is also called the retail station, so it has the same name. And as far as I can tell, this is like a tiny gas station for motorcycles. So we're talking about the 66028 by CaDA. And for this one, I would clearly say, okay, this one you can use as an extension, right? Because the main set is a gas station for cars, and this small one is for motorcycles. So for sure you can use them together. $300. So $30, 300 pieces again. And then you have the car wash. And again, this is one, I mean, you could extend the main station with this one because the main station has also a washing station or car wash station. However, you could also use it again on your own. So all of these sets for sure are, I think, should work very well in your brick-built city as a grown-up, but also for sure these are also pretty cool kit sets. 66030 is the car wash station, and again around 300 pieces and $30 by CaDA itself. By the way, Shell, so CaDA has a Shell license. However, Lego used to do this kind of stuff also in the past. So these sets from Lego are from the 70s. So for instance, Lego had a Shell station, the 377 set, and a few others, and this was a mistake. I have unfortunately only a very tiny picture, so let's go back here. So I don't know if you own some of these original sets, this could be quite interesting to put them together, right? So like I said, these are most and foremost also, this is a mistake, this is not Shell, the brand, this is a Shell. Anyhow, these are all sets from basically from the 70s, I think, or maybe mid-80s as well. With that, we're moving on to Funhole, and here we have now availability. However, I do not have any information from Funhole themselves, but there is already availability in retail of the next Funhole set. So by the way, a lot of folks are still waiting for the 9033, but this is now already the 9034. It's a mini chicken coop. And yes, it has minifigures and chickens and everything. It's pretty cool. However, it's not a bargain. I mean, Bawia, again, a retailer selling this one for $32. So let's see what Funhole themselves is pricing this one in. However, I think it's very well made. I mean, it's a tiny set, but you have the figures, you have the chickens, everything should be printed. However, as always, keep in mind, Funhole usually means, and you can see this very well on this picture here down below, it's not pad printed. Usually these are UV printed, which is from a quality perspective, from my point of view, not the same, but it's pretty cool stuff still. Let's see, maybe there may be even stickers in there, but for the time being, I assume everything is printed. It's a pretty tiny set, so it's roughly 13 by 13 centimeters and 10 centimeters in height. With that, we're moving on to Lego. And here we have the next BrickHead announced. And this one will release, I think, worldwide July 17th. So personally, I'm not so much into Batman, so maybe July 17. I don't know. Is that something in the community that I should be aware about? I do not know why they release it on this day. I mean, LEGO is doing this from time to time. However, it is still a bit strange. It's 2 weeks before the August 1st wave of many, many other sets. Anyhow, the interesting part is that this is an 8-in-1 brickhead. So LEGO has done multi-brickhead sets like... I remember the wedding couple, for instance, right? And there have been other sets like this in the past. However, this one here goes beyond that, because in a nutshell, you have 8 different Batmans, and all of them have gotten their own brickhead number. So for those of you who are not brickhead collectors, you may not be familiar that LEGO, next to the set number, which is 40748 for this one, all the brickheads also have like a collector's number. I don't know, whatever you may call it. We are, by the way, around 250 now, brickheads, and it's not that that old in a series. Anyhow, all of these Batmans have their own number. However, you have the pieces. It's an 8-in-1 set, so you have all the pieces like the prints and everything to create every and each one of them, but not at the same time. So if you're a true collector and you want all of them, this could be interesting. So personally, I mean, if you look at it, I would guess that all the important pieces, so what you will need from the outside in order to basically show this specific Batman, I mean, just look at the chest pieces, they are all different. So I think they are all in there. So what you need most and foremost is like the plate, the 6x6 plate, where they are standing on, and all these knot bricks on the inside, the typical brickhead stuff. So what could be a solution if you're a collector and you need all of them? First of all, I guess a collector will need only 7 out of these 8, because the one here on the below right, the second one from the right in the lower line, is actually, that's not a mistake. LEGO gave it number 1 because that brickhead they released before. So that was actually the number 1. So this is like a reprint, if you will. So long story short, you basically need to build 7 as a collector. So it could be, I guess, if you can find, sometimes there are pretty good discounts on brickheads if there are brickheads that the retailer is not able to sell. So I have bought brickheads in the past in order to use the parts for my MOCs for around like $5 to $6. So if you can find a couple of these so that you get all the snot bricks and all the plates and all the stuff, then maybe it's only very few pieces that you need in addition. But I don't know. I'm curious what the math is going to be, but for sure you don't have to buy this set 8 times. At least I do believe that. Anyhow, speaking of buying and not being able to buy anything, Micro Ninjago City Gardens, a 40705. So this is like an insider's set. So basically you can't buy this for money, at least not from LEGO themselves. You have to buy this for points. And so they have already, I mean, obviously in Ninjago City, we have 4 sets nowadays. And so we have now 4 micro sets. So these two, 40705 and 40706, so City Market, City Gardens, these were the last ones to release. So the Harbor and the original City set have already been published by LEGO a couple of months ago. So these two were basically missing. I don't know how it is, depending, maybe different in your country, but at least over here, LEGO Europe, you can buy for points only one of these per order. So that basically means you need to buy twice from LEGO in order to get these two. So that's a bit unfortunate that they released them at the same time, because you don't know when LEGO is going to run out. And I, for instance, have already the first 2. I would like to buy number 3 and 4. So basically you have to order now twice from LEGO. I mean, that is not by mistake. Anyhow, I would really love if LEGO would change that rule, that you can, order several of these per order. Maybe every set only once. I'm fine with that, but why not buy 2 sets with 1 order? Anyhow, 40705, Ninjago City Gardens as a micro model, and then City Markets, the last one of the Ninjago City sets. And in my point of view, the weakest one. However, the main set is a bit weak because it is pretty boring in several areas, but this micro bit looks really cool. Actually, I do believe it looks better than the original set, but of course that depends. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a couple of releases or announcements for the August 1st Star Wars wave. So first we have the 75385 Ahsoka Tano's Duel on Peridia. And yes, here we go. I mean, this is an amazing set, if you ask me, 382 pieces. And yes, it's going to cost, at least over here in Europe, 55 bucks. Same in the US, Canada, and UK go along accordingly, depending on the currency. But this is extremely expensive because this set is about the figures, right? It's not about the pieces or anything. It's about the figures. So let's go to this one. So first we have Ahsoka. So she's wearing her lighter gray white outfit that she's wearing after her, let's call it, near-death experience after meeting Anakin. Maybe I did spoil now something. I'm pretty sorry, but this thing has been out for months, so I hope that is okay for you. Anyhow, I mean, a lot of folks were speculating that they would come up with a minifigure with that outfit. I mean, Ahsoka is a beloved series, so it was pretty clear that LEGO would do something about it. And they have delivered. The minifigure is amazing. I mean, most of the Ahsoka figures have been amazing. She's an amazing character, so that's fine with me. And yes, it has everything that LEGO usually puts into a very good Star Wars minifigure: printed arms, printed legs, hips, everything. And it's pretty well done, I must say, based on the pictures that I can see here. Then we have Ezra. Again, pretty high quality prints, if you ask me. Really like the character. Lightsaber in blue, everything that you need. And then you have the witch with her new saber. And this is actually pretty cool. This is the dark saber piece, but now in trans green. So pretty amazing stuff. However, the legs are not printed. I think she's wearing a black skirt, so I guess there's not much LEGO could do about it. But it makes her feel slightly boring. So maybe the hips at least in red. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, pretty cool face print. And the saber piece is really amazing. And then, of course, you have the Admiral Thrawn. I almost want to say a beloved character. I think he's not really beloved, but for sure he has a lot of fans. So that finally LEGO is bringing us a Thrawn here, or a new Thrawn, is pretty cool. Torso is very nicely printed, dual mode legs, which is not very common in the Star Wars universe, unfortunately. Pretty cool headpiece. Really like this figure. Yes, I mean, there are no prints on the arms, etc., but it doesn't make much sense, right, in his uniform. I think LEGO did the right thing, so really like this figure. And then we have this, I don't know what they called, Shadow Trooper. And yeah, I mean, it's a Stormtrooper with a slightly different print. Pretty cool that they have done it, but I think it's not the highlight, it's the other four. Anyhow, very cool characters. The set itself, I mean, has a couple of play functions, but quite frankly, I think nobody will buy this set for the diorama. It's about the minifigures. However, it's not a bargain. 55 bucks, that's 14.4 cents a piece. Again, pieces are not that important here. This is about the figures, but put the other way around, that's 11 bucks basically per minifigure, which is crazy. So yes, LEGO knows that everybody's waiting for Thrawn and maybe also for this Ahsoka figure. So I guess they know that this is what they can take and this is what they are going to do. I'm pretty sure this is not what they can ask for this one here. 3CPO as a buildable figure, the 75398. So this is basically similar to Chewbacca and many other figures and droids that they have done in the past. In fact, they have done so many droids at this point. But anyhow, now we have finally the golden boy. And yes, speaking of gold, so this is not metallic gold. So this is pearl gold. Basically, the metallic is in the plastic, if you will. But next to that, I think it's a pretty cool figure. I definitely prefer this build compared to Chewbacca. I think this one looks okay, looks good. It is almost 40 centimeters in height or 15 inches, so that's not a small figure, and I think it looks really nice. There's also a 3CPO figure included, and this could even be, I mean, do we have a better picture? This could even be the one with a dual mold leg, basically the one that they put into the UCS land speeder. So if I recall correctly, but I may be wrong here, the one in the trash compactor did not have the dual mode lag. This was exclusive to the UCS land speeder, but it seems that this one is in here as well. It has also the printed black, which is pretty cool. I actually do prefer this smaller tile for that compared to the large 8x16 that they use in the UCS sets, because first of all, it has a better finish. Basically, it's a better mold on LEGO's side. Even, I mean, they tried using a glossy one in this year's UCS set, but that didn't work out either. For whatever reason, LEGO is not able to make pretty good 8x16s. Other other brands do a lot better job here, like Kobe and CaDA most and foremost. But anyhow, this smaller one, in my point of view, looks better. Plus, you have all the studs in there, which, I mean, generally, I'm a big fan of a clean look with not too many studs. But nevertheless, I mean, these are bricks. So having all of these studs around the print is actually, I don't know, for whatever reason, I do like it. I prefer it. So pretty nice figure, going to release August 1st. Lego is asking for 140 bucks. It's 12.3 cents a piece. That's crazy. But, I mean, at least those of you who live in the European Union, usually we have a ton of discounts over here. And this will be a set that will go into retail pretty broadly. So I do assume that prices will come down rather significantly. And then there's one set that I don't know, it's a bit strange, the 75392, the Creative Play Droid Builder. So these are basically 4 droids, including R2 and a few other very well-known characters. And then you have a lot of pieces like funny heads and stuff where basically you can customize your droid. So this is a kit set, it's a 9+ set. That's all okay, but there's one thing that I'm really struggling with, and these are basically the shoulders or the points where the legs are attached to the build. They use this, I don't know, this is like 3x3 studs round piece, and then they put it's 4x4 even, right? And then they have a 3x3 tile in the center. I'm not sure how many studs this piece is, but it's too big. So basically they have like shoulders like a bodybuilder, and it looks quite weird. So I don't know. That's why I think I'm struggling with these droids. In general, the idea of having brick built droids in that size, I think, is quite nice, especially because now you have Shopper in here and you have R2 in here, and you can build, do all this fun stuff. So in general, I like the idea. It's an interesting experiment, but I don't know, the legs of the droids have not really worked out, in my opinion. However, there's even a collectible minifigure again in there, like 25 years of Lego Star Wars collector's figure. In this case, it's Princess Leia, which is not that spectacular. It's like the small, tiny Leia from the Obi-Wan Kenobi's show, but there's also her droid in there, I think, LOLA59. And this is a pretty cool printed piece. I'm pretty sure this piece will not be a bargain if you want to buy it on Bricklink or something like that. Anyhow, this was that. And with that, we're moving on to the last but surely not least set, the 75396, the Desert Skiff and Skarlak Pit. This one is interesting. First of all, it's 80 bucks, 14.3 cents a piece. That's crazy. However, at least over here in Europe, it will go into retail, so there will be discounts for sure. But in general, it's a very expensive set, and again, because it's driven by the minifigures. So there are not that many pieces in there, but there are 6 minifigures in there, and that also, as far as I can tell, please keep me honest here in the comment section. Let's go to the minifigures. This is the Boba Fett figure that I think was in the UCS Slave 1, which is a figure like 150 bucks, stuff like that. So it's very cool to have this one in here. It looks amazing. It's still an amazing figure. It doesn't have the cloth piece, so it's not exactly the same. And in fact, for true collectors, it doesn't matter anyway. But nevertheless, if you want to have a cool Boba Fett from this part or this era, if you will, this is the best way to get one, I would say. Anyhow, the rest of it, of course, you have Lando in his disguise, the helmet, amazing piece. However, Chewie, Han are basically standard, so I wouldn't buy a set just for these two. And then, however, you have Luke Skywalker, and he has a dark bluish gray torso, which is quite interesting because if I recall correctly, he was basically wearing his black clothes in this section of episode 6. And if I recall correctly, like in the Emperor's Throne Room, which is basically the same look and the same clothes, they use still a black figure. So I don't know, again, keep me honest here, I may be wrong here, but I think this is a different figure now, and he has a different torso where they printed not gray on black, but black on gray, which is interesting. But I can't really say that he looks better. He just looks slightly different. I think Boba Fett and Lando are really the drivers here. And then, of course, you have the exclusive minifigure. Again, 25 years of Lego Star Wars of Nien Nump? I'm not so sure, but very cool minifigure. Here we go. I think the headpiece I really, really like, but also the prints are quite nice. Pretty cool minifigure. The build itself, it has a couple of features, which is interesting, or it is interesting that the skiff has 3 legs basically standing on, all in trans clear. However, I'm pretty sure you can remove 2 of them in order to get a better look, or I don't know, put it on a string to the roof or something like that. I mean, there are options for sure, but I guess they made it this way to make it robust for kids. Again, this is a quite inexpensive set, and the price is driven by the minifigures. But again, even with 6 minifigures, you are talking about like $12-13 per minifigure, which is again a lot. So from my point of view, this set is again far too expensive. However, that remains to be seen if LEGO actually can push that price. Anyhow, with that, moving on to Marvel, the Avengers Helicarrier, the 76295. Basically, what LEGO is doing here is using what they nowadays call the Starship Collection, I think, pushing that into the Marvel series, which is quite cool, and I really like it. I really like the brick build design. It looks amazing. However, as far as I can tell, all the runways and everything is just stickers. And that is awful, because this bad boy is going to cost you $80. That's 15.7 cents a piece. That is crazy. And again, just stickers. So something is not matching here. This is quite strange. I mean, if you look at the Millennium Falcon that we got this year from the Star Wars series, everything is pet printed in there. And so compared to this one here, the Millennium Falcon is a true bargain. However, it's very unfortunate, because the build itself is really, really nice. So maybe a set that could be interesting on discount. 76295 Helicarrier, $80. With that, we're moving on to a Technic set for 2174 Emirates Team New Zealand AC-75 yacht. And that is quite a mouthful, but quite a set. $120 over here in Europe. US is, I think, the same. 12.5 cents a piece. I mean, it's a Technic set, so usually this works slightly different. It does have a license. It has these amazing sails that look to me, at least, that they are printed, as LEGO usually does. However, everything that is on the hull itself seems to be stickered, but that remains to be seen. Anyhow, it has several Technic functionalities in there in order to sail this thing, in order to put the foils down, etc., etc. So I think in general, I really like the design. Obviously, the stand it is on, I mean, it's problematic, right? You want to have the functionality, you want to have the foils, so you have to put it on some stand. And Technic Trans Clear doesn't look good. So I guess that's the best they could do. And they made it all in, almost all of it in light bluish gray. So I guess it's as subtle as you can get. And it has pneumatic functions in it. So it's all pretty cool. This thing has a height of, I think, almost 70 centimeters, if I see this here on the box correctly. So it's not a small set. And like I said, it has several functions. I really like it. I've been a sailor myself when I was younger, like a sports sailor. And I've been always a big fan of what the Kiwis were doing with the Admiral's Cup. So that is really a set I'm personally looking forward to. With that, we have come to a couple of availabilities. So first of all, the Bumblebee is now available, the 10338. And yeah, it is, I think it's on pre-order. With many retailers right now, so I guess it will come into retail at a later point in time, at least over here in Europe. But for instance, in the US, it is available from LEGO itself for around $90. And then the Iron Man Mark V figure, i.e. Brickhead, 40669, now available. And basically, it's $10. That's the way it is with brickheads. I'm still a big fan. I've said this in the past, that LEGO is still making these single brickheads. I have the slight feeling they're making more and more of bigger sets around the brickheads, like selling you 5 brickheads for $50 in one box. And I guess this is a way for them to raise margins or to raise prices for brickheads without having to actually raise prices by means of $10 per brickhead, right? Because it's one of the very few lines of LEGO where they haven't raised prices in many, many years. But so it's still great that they still bring out these single brickheads for $10. And then we have the Lamborghini Countach 5000 Quattro Valvole, and my Italian is as bad as my French, the 10337. Is now available. It's $180, both in Europe as well as in the US. And yeah, that's about that. From my point of view, that is far too expensive. I mean, it's a regular system brick set. I mean, yes, technically there's a license, but there's not much license related stuff in there. And asking for $180 for that piece count, 1,500 pieces is again a bit weird. Anyhow, pretty cool sets released by LEGO or announced by LEGO, but the price points are all a bit off, if you ask me. Not all of them, but many of them. I guess the Iron Man is pretty cool from price point. I can live with the Technic set. Helicarrier is just crazy. And the 2 minifigure-driven sets are also pretty high, if you ask me. But anyhow, with that, we're moving on to Mould King, and here we have availability of 4 music box sets. They're all similar. That means you have this large piece here down below, which I guess is the music box, and then you have a brick build design on top. All of them are pretty crazy from the color scheme point of view, but yeah, they look quite nice. First of all, you have the jellyfish, the 10101. They have, by all of the 4 sets, have slightly around 400 pieces. Gonna cost you from Mould King directly around 30 bucks. Again, shipping, depending where you live, I'm not really sure if that is actually the price that you have to pay, but I do really like these sets. I mean, they're a bit crazy from the color scheme and everything, but they look really, really nice. And as far as I can tell, there's even these, I don't know, what is the word in English, this glass cover is included as well. I mean, it's plastic, it's not glass, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And yeah, and I guess this thing will turn when the music box runs. Not 100% sure, but I really like the design. So we have, first of all, a jellyfish. That's the 10101. Then you have this seahorse. Maybe let's do the seahorse first. That's the 10100. Also very nice brick build seahorse, pretty cool. And then you have the 10103, that's the butterfly, my personal favorite, because I really like, I don't know why, this trans dark 10 tone that the music box has, which is pretty cool. And then you have the ladybug, which is also a pretty nice and very aggressive green color scheme, the 10105. Like I said, all of them have roughly between 100 and, I don't know, 405 and 450 pieces, and all of them are going to cost you around 30 bucks. And then they have announced a snowfield engineering vehicle, the 17051. So if you have ever been skiing, I guess these you're familiar with these things. So this is what they use in order to basically maintain the ski resorts during the winter, like, I don't know, compressing the snow and, I don't know, shoveling snow through the resort. I guess I'm not really an expert. I mean, I've been skiing in the past, but I don't know what all the jobs that these things have. But anyhow, this is a set that is remote controlled by Mould King, so it has M-key control, as they call it, 1,241 pieces, and it's going to cost you only 75 bucks for Mould King directly, but retailers may have this even in store for a cheaper price. This is pretty cool. I mean, 75 bucks. I assume this is BlueBrixx Technic pieces, which are very high quality, and it's 41 centimeters in length, 30 width, and 23 in height. So this is not a small set. It is, like I said, it's electric, it's remote controlled, usually, but don't quote me on that. This thing can be controlled both by smartphone, and there will be a remote control included, but I can't see it on the pictures. But at least all the remote controlled Mould King sets I have built so far had always both options included, which is pretty cool and something that LEGO is not doing anymore, except with the trains, I think. Anyhow, 75 bucks. Pretty cool bargain. With that, we're moving on to Panlos or BlueBrixx. This is kind of the kids line of Panlos as far as I can tell. And they have a new Kumamon set, the Private Detective Society 880035. So Panlos/BlueBrixx has made a lot of these sets in the past. I think on the Japanese house, we even published a review. Yes, we did. So if you're interested in that, Panlos is doing very high quality pieces. I really like them. And yeah, I think you can buy this over in China for around 47 bucks. That's 3.6 cents a piece. You have figures included. Pretty cool stuff. Really like these sets. With that, we're moving on to a couple of reading recommendations. First of all, we looked at the Area X SpongeBob SquarePants Krusty Krab, the AB0027. So quite extensive review on our page. We provide a little bit of context if you're not so familiar with SpongeBob. I guess across the pond or in North America, everybody knows SpongeBob SquarePants, but over here in Europe, I'm pretty sure it's not that popular in all of in every country. But I think at least what I can hear here over in Germany is that a lot of folks know this stuff and there's a lot of interest around the set. Anyway, we have looked at it. Pretty cool minifigure lineup. We looked at the set itself, the build, and everything. There's a bit of lighting included. Like I said, a ton of prints, a ton of minifigures. So there's a lot of stuff to explore. So you may want to take a look. As always, by the way, all the sets I'm talking about, as well as every reading recommendation, every mock I talk about is linked down below in the video description for you. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, everybody else, you will find in the podcast show notes. I think the only ones who can't click on anything are the TikTok viewers. I'm sorry about that. Just go to our page, setdb.org or merlinsbrixx.com, and just go here on top on the menu item articles, and there we can find all our publications. Anyhow, I looked at Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes White Dragon AB04, again, same company, Area X, which I think is a sub-brand of Zembo as far as I can tell. Anyhow, this is an older one, but I just built it very recently. I think I don't have to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! But what I do know, and actually I had to read this up because I've never played the game or the card game, or trading card game. The Blue Eyes White Dragon, I think, was first of all, Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon was the first series of the TCG. And I think the dragon itself is the strongest card. And to this day, I think one of the strongest cards in the game. At least that's my understanding. Again, never have played it. So Area X is, I think, really covering the license very well. You have these cool cards in there. But of course, the most important thing, maybe let's go to this picture, is the dragon. So the interesting part, I think, especially if you come from the Lego world, what is really, really cool, what Area X did here is that all of the pieces are in the same color, which is amazing. I mean, everything, like every Technic piece, every pin, everything is in the same color, which makes this dragon look really, really cool. I mean, they also have quite an amazing headpiece. There's even some trans parts in this headpiece. But the dragon itself is just standard pieces with one or few exceptions. But again, like all are in the correct color. And I also really like the stand. It has like kind of a dynamic explosive feel, which is really, really cool. And actually, by the way, I mean, there were a couple of also quality problems in the set, not many, but for instance, the ball joints for the legs, they are not very strong, and as a result, this dragon actually needs the stand. Without the stand, it's basically collapsing. But with the stand, it looks really amazing. There is a little bit of light in there, which I think gives this dragon also a nice kind of lamp, brick-built lamp kind of feel. Pretty cool stuff. Again, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, this may be for you. And then I've looked at BlueBrixx Light Kit for Barad-dûr from Lord of the Rings, from Lego, the Lego set 10333. And what can I say? I'm personally not the biggest fan of the set. I mean, Rivendell for me is one of the best Lego sets of all time. However, this one couldn't keep up with it. And one of my biggest criticism was basically the back, because I think the inside has not really worked out. I think Lego has tried here to basically compress into one set, kind of a play scale set and an architecture kind of scale set. And this hasn't really worked out. It's just my opinion. So the light kit has the same problem. Basically, it's trying to light both sides, but you can only look at one, and the inside doesn't look that well. It's pretty rough, if you ask me, quite simple, too simple for such a big and expensive set. And so the lighting cannot change much about it. The only true criticism I have about the light kit itself, that I know that BlueBrixx in the past has also put in switches in their kit. So I remember there was even one of the Marvel buildings where you had switches like for every floor, which was completely over the top. That was not necessary, but here it would have really helped. So that basically, if you, depending on which side you're looking at, you can basically shut down the other side so that you don't have that much, let's say, light pollution on the wall, as you can see on my pictures here, right? I think Barad-dûr here would look on this picture so much better if if the back wall would be dark, which it cannot be because there is lights. Obviously, you can just not connect them. But I would have preferred if they would have done that. I mean, personally, as somebody who doesn't like the inside, I would even have preferred if they would sell an individual kit, a smaller, cheaper kit for the outside. Anyhow, yeah, next to that, pretty cool stuff. I had a lot of fun with it. With that, we are moving on to MOCs of the week. And here we have the Tavern Under the Leaves in different versions by Samandal. Anyhow, I'm not really sure if this is the same thing. I haven't done any research on it, but I'm almost 1% sure that exactly these builds have been put into LEGO Ideas a couple of years ago. I recall that, but I haven't checked it out if these are exactly the same. I guess I just assume that they are more or less the same thing that went into Ideas a couple of years ago. Anyhow, there are, I think, 3 different versions. There is a summer, autumn, and a winter version. It seems no spring version. No, this is the spring version, so there's no summer. And I think based out of you can basically build just one of them, or maybe buy the extra pieces and then go through the seasons, which I personally is always something I wanted to do with a MOC of mine. I had once, it doesn't exist anymore, but I had once like a medieval diorama, and that was always my vision, like go through the seasons, but I don't know, it was just a headache to get all the parts and basically rebuild it 3-4 times a year. But maybe with such a small building on 32 by 32 stats, this could be quite an interesting idea. Pretty cool MOC. It's going to cost you around $12. And then we have something that is truly amazing, if you ask me. BlueBrixx has created a Lion Knight's Kingdom MOC, which, as far as I can tell, is basically you buy, I mean, I'm not 100% sure if it's a true alternate, but it needs 10,000 pieces, which is crazy. However, you can basically get most or maybe all of the pieces. I couldn't really find it here in the description. But of course, you can use Rubricable to figure this out. But in a nutshell, I do believe if you just, if you throw a ton of Lego sets together, like he listed here, the designer, the medieval town, 10332, then the Viking village, then the medieval castle and the family tree, and I guess also Lion Knight's castle, then you can buy or build this gigantic behemoth with more than 10,000 pieces. That actually looks really amazing. I think for a Lego castle fan, this could be quite the thing. And I mean, of course, if you want to build a free MOC with 10,000 pieces, it's just a headache to get all the pieces, right, through Bricklink and etc. I mean, it basically means if you want to do something like this, you have days and maybe weeks of shoveling pieces, counting pieces, having Excel sheets and lists and Bricklink and pick a brick and all this mess. And I think if you can get most of the way by just having a couple of years of sets that you may already own, this makes things a lot easier. And like I said, the final result looks really, really cool. It's $16 for the instructions. And then we have a pretty cool MOC from Axidroid, the Avatar Helicopter Samson SA2. So, I mean, I've seen many MOCs of this week in the past. I mean, I think Lego even took a shot at it, right? I think there was a set even for Avatar 2, if I recall correctly. Very important vehicle, especially at the end of Avatar 1. But I think this one here looks, I don't know, it looks really, really cool, very accurate. Seems to me, at least it feels like true minifigure scale. You have 4 seats in here in the front, and you can, I would say, definitely put 4 minifigures in here. So that's pretty cool. Like the rotor design. Yeah, very, very nice MOC. And as you can see, this is a true picture, so not a render picture. So i.e. it has been built, which is always a good sign, especially for flying MOCs, that they actually are stable. $15, 1,422 pieces. And then we're moving on to Panic and Confusion. And under this account, a series of now 9 MOCs have been published called The Adventurous Chapter, and I just picked here one by random. And again, it's a pretty cool MOC that is around Indiana Jones, of course. And as far as I can tell, most of these MOCs, maybe all of them, I haven't checked, each and every one of them are kind of alternate builds where you need multiple of these Indiana Jones sets. So in this case, the 77013. And yeah, I mean, I think the original set by Lego was already pretty cool, but like most Lego sets, it was quite small. So having now basically an inspiration or a new variant of the old classic 5988 from Lego, but the only thing you need is 2 current Lego sets. That's actually a pretty cool idea. So nice line of MOCs. And then we come to my personal highlight of this week, being a big architecture fan by Shelf Life, who has published St. Paul's Cathedral from London, 2,148 pieces, an amazing architecture MOC. Admittedly, the presentation on this picture is also done in a very cool way with the light and the highlights and the shadow, but as you can see on this picture, this has also been built for real. I think I've talked about Shelf Life's MOCs before, at least, I don't know, maybe there was the time where I took a break on the English version, but in the German version of this new show, I definitely talked about this Cathedral of Florence, and I think St. Paul's Cathedral is basically in the same ballpark. It's also a 1/800 MOC, so should also work, I don't know, very well with other Lego designs, for instance, like, of course, recent Notre Dame. But yeah, St. Paul's Cathedral, it's a freeform MOC. Kind of, I mean, it doesn't use any snot technique, just uses plates and wedge plates most and foremost, but still, I'm a big fan of freeform especially. I mean, the Lego concept with, you know, these black squares, if you will, is also nice, has also a nice feeling if you have many of them, but this freeform stuff, I think, is even better and more modern than compared to what Lego is doing. Anyhow, if this is your cup of tea, it has 2,148 pieces, and Shelf Life is selling the instructions for $10. Not too shabby. With that, I really hope you liked the show. As always, I would really appreciate, depending on where you listen to this or watch this. I mean, there's so many ways to listen and watch nowadays. I mean, you can see the video version on YouTube, Spotify, and on TikTok. Whatever it is called on your platform, rate, like, comment, subscribe, follow. I don't know. That would be highly appreciated. And as always, also, if any of these sets I'm talking about here, or any of the more than 19,000 sets we have in the database, if you have built it, you can go on the site very easily and just put a rating in here. If you have built the set, 1 to 10. And I think as soon as the ZTP has a certain amount of ratings, then the ZTP will also publish this. So if you look at, I don't know, a bigger set, like for instance here the Medieval Blacksmith, you can see that I rated this with 8 stars. And community average is 8.7 with 20 ratings now in. So maybe you could make this number 21 if you have built the 21325 Medieval Blacksmith. What you can also do here, if any data or any information is not accurate, if you know that Austin William, Carlson and West Talbot were not the only designers, there was also third one involved. There is a link here on every set page for all of the 19,000 sets. It's called Missing or Wrong Data. Just click the button, there's a form, and you can send me the change, like to fix the information or add additional information. I don't know, how many stickers on the set, how many building steps or bags, numbered bags on the set, how many building steps, stuff like that. Just let me know. Anyhow, with that, thanks for listening. See you next week.